Question is that the bill be now read a second time. Mr. Liang.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'll speak on two key areas in this bill that sets out the powers. One, for EMA to safeguard energy security. Two, to enable EMA to implement policies to reduce carbon emissions. Firstly, on energy security. So this is the most interesting time to debate on energy security and resilience, energy resilience. Energy prices are surging in the global markets due to a combination of factors, supply crunch, weather, soaring demands, geopolitical tensions, and so on. And this will soon translate into higher electricity prices to consumers. It doesn't help that the number of electricity retailers, also impacted by the recent price volatility, have exited at this time, leaving thousands of households who have subscribed to the fixed plan exposed to the impending hike in electricity prices. Adding to the uncertainties, the imported piped natural gas from Indonesia is also disrupted, leading to EMA to take that extraordinary preemptive step to establish standby fuel facilities where power generation companies, the GENCOs, can draw on. Credit to MTI and EMA for also establishing the liquefied natural gas LNG infrastructures about a decade ago to serve as a backup source to the piped gas supply. This is most critical as today's 95% of our electricity is generated from natural gas, and by far still the cleanest fossil fuel to date. Beyond the current energy woes, the longer-term challenge for Singapore will be how we can repower ourselves, as almost all the existing natural gas power plants will reach the end of its shelf life and will be retired in the next 1 to 2 decades. What will be the new mix of energy sources in the future that will be both efficient, resilient, and also meet our sustainability goals? It is a key strategic policy decision the government has to make and to implement. But this major transition to a more efficient, more resilient, and sustainable energy architecture for Singapore also requires new executive powers to effect these massive industry changes and restructuring. Among others, the bill empowers EMA to directly build, acquire, and manage these essential electricity infrastructures, if need be, to ensure the resilience and security of our power supply. It also enables EMA to issue license to import electricity, issue bonds to finance these critical facilities. So I support giving EMA these powers to ensure that the country will be reliably powered. This is of paramount importance. In situation of crisis or a significant market disruptions events, EMA may require this delegation of authority to take the necessary decisive actions. So I will go further to submit that critical infrastructure like power generations, which has a direct bearing on our security, economy, and well-being of our people, should be a nationalized company or maybe even Temasek-linked companies. This will ensure that the power generation companies will be operated and invested with our long-term national interests in mind. And this is especially so for a small island economy like Singapore, where we lack the scale. Power generation infrastructures do have its useful lifespan and obsolescence. It requires continuous long-term investments to renew, to repower, and to invest in new capacity to meet our growth demands. There's now also the added sustainability emphasis, as well as the need for further resiliencies to be built into our future energy supply. Whilst doing all the above, we also want to ensure that electricity prices stay affordable to consumers and to businesses. All these requirements and often competing needs may not be best served by commercially run business enterprises. Having these infrastructures largely owned and operated by, say, foreign commercial entities may leave us exposed to potential disruptions should their parent head office or other subsidiaries of these companies run into problems, or they have no plans to reinvest and merely just want to sit out their legacy investment till it's fully depreciated. Of course, the government can regulate to require the gencos to toe the line, but we know too much of regulations and directives can actually kill the enterprising spirit and defeat the purpose. The other steep challenge faced by power generation companies is the ability of the company to fund long-term capital expenditures needed to renew and to grow the capacity. Not all companies are able to raise long-term capital which can stretch for more than 10 years or 20 years at a reasonable cost. The commercial returns from the generators may not be adequate to service such long-term debts, which also comes with project risk and therefore higher risk premium. Hence, I'm supportive of this new provision in this amendment that allows EMA to raise capital or issue bonds to finance the construction of these projects where necessary. So next on the reducing greenhouse emissions as provided in this bill. This is needed to facilitate the decarbonization of our gencos, and importantly, it signals the way forward in how we generate electricity. Besides enabling EMA to push for carbon efficient technologies through this bill, there's also the upcoming carbon taxes to incentivize the reductions of carbon emissions. In recent years, we have seen more forward-looking businesses incorporating sustainability into their corporate agendas. Hence, rather to use the powers derived from this bill to institute broad-based measures, I would suggest that EMA can look at more targeted measures to move the sector towards lower emissions. With the progressive build-up of the 4 supply switches and the diversifications of the various energy sources, the regulations and the developments of the sector would also need a more differentiated approach. So as this bill is also about resilience, can I use this opportunity to seek a progress update from the Minister on the alternative source of energy that the EMA is developing, in particular whether hydrogen, which has been quite talked about, can be a viable source or the game changer for Singapore energy supply, and also what will be the likely timeline. So my final point is on the transition risk as we journey towards the new landscape. As EMA embark on this multi-decade programs to transit to a low-carbon 4 supply switches settings, it will understandably change the overall market dynamics of the incumbent operators. Some of these new plans may directly or indirectly impact the operations and the financial performance of these players. So how would MEMA ensure that during this transition can be smoothly carried out with no or minimal disruptions to our energy supply? Also, what is the estimated infrastructure cost to realize our new energy vision? So in this bill, there's also an amendment to clarify the ability to draw down on electricity retailers' deposit to offset outstanding settlement payments to protect consumer interests. This amendment is necessary in the light of the disruption in the open electricity market that we saw. So I urge EMA to look into further measures to mitigate these counterparty risks, including allowing for the novation of some of these in-the-money fuel hedging positions from the retailers who may have abruptly exited the market, to allow this novation of this contract, this position that they hedged on, to come to the new retailers that the consumer choose to, for example, the SP services, so that the consumer interest can be safeguarded. So notwithstanding that, I support the bill. Thanks.